Thank you for being here tonight. You were at the hearing. You said there were Republicans full of, quote, phony arguments against, let's take a look, your contempt vote today.
I'm confused. Every single person at the helm of this investigation is a Republican. Don't peddle that phony argument to us. And then you want to assert executive privilege. Are you kidding me? The Attorney General is totally out of control. He will be held in contempt of Congress.
What does your contempt vote today achieve?
Well, it's an important step in the right direction to send the message to an out-of-control Attorney General and Trump administration that we recognize here that the House is a separate and co-equal branch of government. We don't work for Donald Trump. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle in the previous 2 years conducted themselves like wholly owned subsidiaries of the Trump administration, not as a separate and co-equal branch of government. We wanted to send a message that we recognize we have a constitutional responsibility to serve as a check and balance on the presidency and his administration. We are not going to allow the Attorney General simply to ignore a lawful subpoena without consequence.
Several of the experts we had earlier in the show make the argument that if this is about actual accountability for the bulk of the Mueller report, which Congress does have and the public has read, then why don't you move forward to impeachment proceedings? Is that what this is really about? And some of your Republican colleagues said the same thing today. Take a look.
Once we get it, our hearings can continue and lead to whatever they may lead to, including impeachment.
My good friend from Georgia just asked the operative question: how can we impeach if we don't get the documents? This is all about impeaching the president.
Republican Matt Gaetz there. This is all about impeaching the president. Is he wrong?
He's wrong, and as he knows, the House Democratic Caucus and the Judiciary Committee, under the leadership of Chairman Nadler, continue to focus on actual kitchen table pocketbook issues. Just last week, in a bipartisan way, we passed 4 bills out of the House Judiciary Committee to deal with the anti-competitive practices of the big pharmaceutical companies as part of our effort to drive down the high cost of life-saving prescription drugs. Those bills were passed on a unanimous basis. At the same time, we do have to make sure we execute our oversight responsibilities. And that's what the hearing was about and the markup today as it relates to holding the Attorney General in contempt of Congress. All we want, Ari, is to make sure that we can secure on behalf of the American people the full unredacted Mueller report, because we can't trust those redactions from the Attorney General, who's acting more like the personal fixer for Donald Trump. We want the underlying documentation, and we want to hear from Bob Mueller so he can tell his story to the American people. Seems to me to be pretty reasonable.
And briefly, your reaction to the Senate subpoenaing Don Jr. tonight?
Well, you know, it's not clear to me where they are going, and hopefully, you know, we're not seeing an effort to sort of counter the factual nature of the things that have been revealed in the Mueller report that caused problems for the Trump administration. It's hard for me. Do you think,
are you concerned they're being partisan? I mean, some are asking why, of all days, that news is breaking today, as it seems to be a bad news day, obviously, for Bill Barr and the Trump administration.
We've seen partisan behavior coming out of the Senate or my colleagues on the other side of the aisle far too often over the last 2+ years of the Trump administration, which is why I refer to some of them as the cover-up caucus.
Congressman Jeffries, in leadership on the Judiciary Committee, we showed you earlier there. Thank you for making some time for us tonight.